Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers, and joining me to talk about the NFL draft prospect quarterback Austin Reed coming out of Western Kentucky. Helping me out is Mr. William Yanish III. How you doing this afternoon, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing, Logan?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Excited to talk about this prospect, give him some love, and see what he is all about. But, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe on social media. Be sure to give us all the love over there as the NFL draft is approaching very, very shortly. All right, well, Mr. Yanish, I will kick it over to you, sir. Give us your thoughts on Austin Reed. Let the people know what they can expect from this prospect as he puts his name into the NFL draft here in just a few short weeks.
Austin Reed. He's kind of the definition of an underdog here. I mean, coming out of Western Kentucky, and good old college air raid offense. I mean, uh, he's solid football player. 6'2", 220 pounds. I mean, just a good solid build. You know, um, and I you know, kind of went a little bit crazy and ended up putting a first round grade on him, after my initial evaluation. Right now, I'm getting about in the middle of my final evaluation on him. I am walking it back a little bit, but I mean, this guy, playing in the air raid offense, it's real simple, real up tempo. I mean, kid's got uber tempo. You got to have fast decision making. You got to, I mean, especially in college. I mean, some of those offensive lines just don't hold up. And that's one thing that Austin Reed excels at is getting that ball out quick. I mean, even just getting it out to live to fight another down. Um, this is an offense that Bailey Zappi, set the Division I record with 62 touchdowns and nearly 6,000 yards, a couple of years ago. Austin Reed, he's been the starter for 2 years. I threw 40 touchdown passes last year against, I think, 11 interceptions. Um, there was a little bit of regression this year. He numbers went down a little bit. 31 TDs. 3,300 yards, somewhere around in there. He still has the intangibles. He's fun to watch. He's got just enough arm to compete in the NFL. He kind of reminds me of a young Chad Pennington. I was sitting there watching film, and I'm like, who does this guy remind me of? And I mean, sure enough, it finally popped in there. I watched one of his passes, and I mean, it was just had had that Chad Pennington art to it, early 2000s, uh, and other than that, I mean, this kid, he's gonna come in, gonna go somewhere. There's been a lot of quarterbacks the last couple years, that have come in fourth, fifth, sixth round, and or even Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, but they've come in and actually stumbled into some playing time, with some of these uh, quarterbacks, out of sheer necessity in some point, and I mean, this this kid's he's got an opportunity to compete. I mean, he's got enough skills. He's got enough intangibles, like I said, just enough arm, and I mean, it have technical issues. Anyway, um, but like I said, man, and I watched him thoroughly get whooped this year against Ohio State. By the time it was over, it was 63-10. But one thing with Reed is, I never saw him quit. He just kept playing, kept going. I mean, just slinging the pigskin for whatever it was worth, and that was one thing that was completely respectful, and completely, why I like this kid. He's got those things about him to come in as a backup. I mean, maybe he can with some weapons around him. He's had Malachi Corley at Western Kentucky, and I mean, he definitely knows how to get the job done with his receivers. He spreads the ball out. He's got good awareness. Um, and I think he'd just be solid. To come in and you know early day 3 pick. Fourth round somewhere in there. I mean, third round. He nobody would get burned over it. I mean, he's heck of a player for what he is. He might not have all those you know athletic traits and athletic gifts, but I mean, he's a player, man, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. If he'll get playing time like his predecessor Bailey Zappi did, and a couple other ones, Skylar Thompson and them. I think this kid can get it done, and that's about what I got, man.
Yeah, so when I look at Austin Reed, it's a guy who isn't getting a lot of love, obviously, because of just a lot of the other quarterbacks who are in this draft. And also due to the fact that he plays at Western Kentucky, which, as we've said, isn't really a powerhouse when it comes to college football. That's not the first school you think of when you think of college football and solid plays and whatnot. Like I said, they have produced some good players over the years, but it's Western Kentucky. It's not Alabama or Georgia or Texas or anywhere else. It is Western Kentucky. But when you look at Austin Reed, I see a guy who, as you mentioned, he has some good numbers. He's a solid player, but to me, nothing jumps off the page. What I see, though, is a guy who is a solid quarterback who doesn't make a lot of mistakes, doesn't get himself into unnecessary trouble, doesn't make careless mistakes. Also, he is a smart player. He's got great field vision. He knows where receivers are. He's someone who would do really good work if you get him in a scheme that focuses on short and intermediate routes as opposed to the long game. I think he would really shine somewhere. If you build around him, like we've said, with a Brock Purdy who or anywhere else who has more weapons around them to help out, that would be tremendous, I believe. But I think Austin Reed, all in all, solid quarterback. I think that if someone does pick him up, it would be a late round selection. And I think he's someone who could really just stick around the league for quite some time based off how he's played in college and what I think he could bring to the table. But I think overall, Austin Reed, solid prospect. I mean, why not take a late round flyer on this guy if you really need some help in your quarterback room and make guys push and push every single day? I think he'd be a good candidate. What are your final thoughts, though, Mr. Yanish, on Mr. Austin Reed?
Like I said, everything's there. He can compete. He just needs a chance. His awareness, very keen awareness, very like you said. And I mean, just knows where everybody is on the field. I mean, even if he is, he can definitely run a system. He can be tossed out there with some NFL caliber players, and he can, I'm sure, do very well. At least as a backup and come in and win some games. So I mean,
no doubt about that, man.
Can do
for sure. And we'll see what happens with Austin Reed here in just a little while. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe on our social media channels. Facebook and YouTube are the main ones. But you can also go and check out our podcast as well each and every single week. Well, for Mr. William Yanish III, I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, go get your draft notes ready because we'll talk to you again on